the center, sir.
Today's virtual conference. My name is Alistair D'Souza, and I am your host for today. Dun& Bradstreet India, in association with Microsoft India and Zenshia Technology Solutions Private Limited, is glad to present this virtual conference on data modernization strategies for future-ready businesses. Before we start the session, I request you all to be in a good network zone for a seamless experience. If you have any questions or doubts, I urge you to kindly go ahead and pen them down in the Q&A section of our screen. A promising agenda with an eminent lineup of speakers. Let me take this opportunity to welcome and thank everyone for joining us today. Our eminent guest speakers for the day are Mr. K. Shankar, Director of Operation, Zentia Technology Solutions Private Limited, and Mr. Nagarajan PV, Cloud Solutions Specialist, Zentia Technology Solutions Private Limited. With this, I would like to now hand the session over to our first speaker for the day, Mr. K. Shankar. Sir, the stage is all yours. May we have your insightful inputs.
Thank you so much for setting up the forum. Just going to share my screen. Let me know if someone can confirm if you can see.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir, we can see your screen.
All right. Thank you, everyone, for taking your time for this webinar. Today, along with me, I also have my colleague Nagarajan. I'm Shankar. I'm the Director of Operations for Zentia Technologies. And we are going to explain how Microsoft Azure platform can help you to modernize your database. Just to give you a quick introduction about Zentia, we are a born in cloud company and we help organizations embrace Microsoft Cloud seamlessly. We started Zentia Technologies in 2010 and we have delivered more than 300 projects in the Microsoft Azure platform. We have close to 160 customers in the Azure and we have migrated 150 applications and data centers to Microsoft Azure. All the migrations we have successfully done without any defect. And we also have more than 25 plus Azure certified consultants covering infrastructure, database, application architects, data and AI experts. So we cover full length and breadth of Microsoft Azure. On the services, these are the various services that we offer. The first one is the infrastructure as a service, where we help our customers to, in the complete enterprise workload. We help customers to set up the enterprise workload. We also help them in doing the migrating the data center to Microsoft Azure. We help in setting up the auto scaling so that the infrastructure is always scalable and available. We also help in doing the deployment automation where the application will be automatically deployed, or for that matter, even infrastructure will be deployed based on your need. The second service is the app services, which is platform as a service in the Microsoft Azure. We help our customers to migrate their applications from infrastructure as a service to platform as a service. We help in providing architectural guidance. So when you have to migrate to your platform from infrastructure as a service to platform as a service, there are a lot of architecture that has to be taken care of because some of the things they may not work as it is. So we provide complete guidance and help you to re-architect your applications for the platform as a service. We also help in DevOps optimization. We help in complete DevOps setup. We help you to create a pipeline so that all your development and deployment will be automated. We also help in continuous integration and deployment, and we help in app re-engineering as well. The third service on the Microsoft Azure that we provide is the migration service. So we provide we work with you and we provide complete roadmap for migrating your infrastructure or data center from your private data center or any other cloud platform to Microsoft Azure. So for that, we do complete portfolio assessment. We do pilot and production migration, and we do all this migration in an accelerated manner. We also help in setting up backup archival and DR. Based on customer needs, we help to come up with the right DR models, storage solutions, backup and archival solutions. The next service is the serverless service, where we help customers to implement microservices such as Kubernetes, and we also help in containerization. We help customers to implement event hubs Logic Apps, and Azure Functions. And the sixth and the last service is the AWS to Azure, where we configure and provision virtual machines. We and also virtual machines and app migration to Microsoft Azure. We help customers in re-engineering the application that may not be suitable in AWS, and then we help to bring them to AWS and re-engineer. And we also help in setting up the for some of the services that may not work as it is in when migrated to AWS to Azure. We provide them the workarounds to make it available in the Azure platform. So these are the various services that we offer. We'll be very glad to take up your questions. So with this, I hand over the forum to Nagarajan, who is going to explain why data modernization and how Microsoft Azure platform will help in modernizing your database. We have Nagarajan is the architect who worked with a lot of customers and has successfully migrated databases and modernized it. So if you have any questions, we'll be glad to answer you. Nagarajan will also explain one of the case study, and he will explain how we migrated, what are the things that we have taken care of, and what are the benefits customer enjoyed post the migration. So over to you, Nagarajan.
Thank you very much, Shankar. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Nagarajan PV. I'm a cloud solution specialist in Gencia. So thanks for joining for the session, and I'll be explaining, as mentioned, like the complete database as a platform models in the Azure infrastructure, which helps you in various aspects like the high availability, achieving the scalability, right? Achieving the business continuity, etc. Right. So I'll quickly share my screen, and we'll go through digital transformation of databases into cloud, and then how we can modernize it in the Microsoft Azure platform. Shankar, let me know once you're able to see the screen.
Yes, PV, I confirm that I can see the screen.
So if you look at the digital transformation, and you can see it drives to a better outcomes, especially when it happens in the cloud space. So 91% of business leaders see the digital transformation is one of the way of sparking innovation and finding a better efficiencies by doing it. And 68% say it is increasing their profit, and 85% say they must offer the digital service, getting into that transformation, otherwise they become irrelevant in the market. And 64% say they have less than 4 years to complete the digital transformation, otherwise it may be they can go to a level of moving out of the business because of the competitors things and other services offered, right? So overall, if you look at 94% of the cloud or rather the workloads will be running in the cloud by 2021 is what the strategic says, right? So it is really very essential for the organizations to look into the digital transformation to the cloud, as it provides more services like platform as a services, which are not something that can be achieved in the on-premises or a common data center kind of a model where only the infrastructure as a service is provided. So these are the drivers which make people to modernize their database in cloud, right? One is the business continuity, where they need to run the business continuously without any disruptions. Then technology agility, you need to adopt to the changing technologies so that your application, your database, your architecture, everything is up to date, and then gets you the better performance in terms of scaling up or in terms of providing the services to the end customer. Then the performance scale, which is the dynamic scale, and then global scale, and then meet the demand whenever needed, right? So we would have all faced a lot of challenges running the platform, infrastructure platform, in the on premises, where there is a lot of capital expenditure when it comes to, like, investing, and then you'll have to think ahead of 3 to 5 years on the spending on how much need it might be. But sometimes even you will not be able to predict it, as it might even sometimes go higher than what is procured. So these are all the challenges which every organization face. But by moving into the cloud, all these can be quickly resolved, as cloud gives you the flexibility of the scalability, right, on need basis, when on demand. So that is one of the main reason why people are moving into the cloud space, especially either yes or on the platform as a service model. Then the cost optimization. So the benefits of running in cloud, there are a lot of benefits, like the hybrid benefit, where already procured softwares can be utilized, or achieving the high availability which is available as a service rather than we set up the high availability, right? And then various other options, where there are different options which are available when it comes to the database. So how we are going to use for our need helps us to reduce the cost. And mainly on the management side, like, where you don't need to worry about managing the hardware, maintaining the hardware, right? So we will also be seeing those slides, the upcoming slides. And also for the people who are running the MS SQL server with the 2008 or 2008 or R2, where the support is already not already closed by Microsoft, or rather there's no more further supports, no security updates, where people is expected to migrate to the next versions, right? So when we run that in Azure Cloud, Microsoft gives you that support till it gets migrated into the latest versions, right? So that is one of the way of people can look at the migration from on-premises or the data center to the cloud space. So we get some extended support, and also we can plan for the migration to the latest versions. So these are the different options that Microsoft, these are the different options Microsoft provides in terms of MS SQL database when it comes to the migration from on-premises or to the from the data center, right? So there are two different parts. One is modernized on Azure on-premises, where again you will have to invest on hardware and the software licenses, procure the latest software licenses with software assurance, so that you continue to run the latest version and entitled for the upgraded versions as well, right? Again, this will be similar to what we are running, but procuring again the latest versions. And the other way is to modernize the Azure. In the Azure, where you just move it into the platform as a service model, or it can be initially yes model and then to the platform as a service model, right? Where you have a single database, you have managed instances, you have serverless databases. There are various options available when it comes to the platform as a service model. So we can do the feasibility check, for which Microsoft also provides the tools to see whether the current databases can be migrated into the latest version, right? So with that, we can move into the Azure platform. The other one is the infrastructure as a service model, which is again running a virtual machine model in the cloud, right? Which is a as-is, or we call it as a lift and shift model, where we just take the existing, instead of running the existing server in the on-premises, we will be running the server in the Azure cloud space as a virtual machine model. These are the different databases that are available in Microsoft Azure platform. It's a comprehensive portfolio where you have both the relational and the non-relational databases, or available. And in the relational database, you could see MS SQL Server, MS SQL in the virtual machine model, and then elastic pool databases, where you bring in multiple databases into a single database, single pool, and then your managed instances. And apart from your MS SQL, on the open source side, you have Postgre, MySQL, and MariaDB, right? So these is similar to what we run, in the on-premises, but gives an edge and advantage of, high availability, which is not something easier to set it up for open source databases in the on-premises environment, where it requires a lot of efforts, a lot of database, a lot of infrastructure needed, and also third-party tools, sometimes the paid tools, and sometimes the free tools, where we need to monitor and make sure master never go down, and then in case if master go down, promote the other slave database into a master, so and so forth. Like running such kind of environment in on-premises or in the data center is going to be definitely a more time-consuming task. Whereas when you take this as a service, you get that by default, that scalability and the high availability, which is inbuilt. And also in terms of all these services has an inbuilt backup, so that it's very easy in case if something goes wrong to recover the data from the backup. Whereas in the infrastructure as a service model, where the VM model, it's the entire responsibility is with the customer in terms of backup, in terms of monitoring, in terms of managing the patches, in terms of upgrading all that stuff, which is not the case with the platform as a service model. And when it comes to the non-relational, Microsoft gives you the Cosmos DB, which is a non-relational, highly scalable database in nature, right? And which is a NoSQL kind of database. And if you look at in this comprehensive portfolio, you can see 20 million downloads of SQL Server and 5 million instances in databases, and then 100 trillion transactions is happening per day. It could have been definitely increased more by this time. And 500 million transactions per day on one app in Azure database for MySQL. So you could see a lot of people in the recent times are adopting to the platform as a service model, especially on the database side, because of the business continuity and other reasons where the better way of handling the backups, the better way of scaling up, and other features, performance tuning features, which are inbuilt features given by Microsoft. So this helps organization to be up to date and then fine tune their environment, and then catching up the latest technologies in the cloud space. This is a quick EAS versus PaaS comparison, wherein as if you could look at it, there are three categories of three different things. One is running the infrastructure in on-premises, two, running the infrastructure as a service in cloud, and running a platform as a service, right? So if you look at from the on-premises perspective, you can see all the boxes are marked in blue, right? Starting from your data center management, hardware, virtualization, OS provisioning, patching, making it up to date, and then scaling up, and then make it high availability, taking up the backups, keep the data, and then run the applications, right? And then fine tune the performance, make sure that it is secured and not vulnerable in terms of the security, which is more essential when it comes to the database. So the entire responsibility lies with the customer. Whereas in the infrastructure as a service model, when it is being adopted in cloud, partially some of these are taken care by the cloud provider, and in our case it is Microsoft. So those are for example, the data center management, hardware and virtualization, which we no need to worry about it, right? And we can just go and create the ready-made pre-loaded Azure SQL in any flavor, right? And you also get a flavor called SQL Web, which is not generally available in the on-premises environment, which is for web-based applications, which comes with a very cost-effective way. And these are all managed and taken. We can take it from the cloud, where it is managed by Microsoft, and only the OS and then the other patching are all taken care by the customer, right? So even here, still there are set of items which the responsibility lies with the customer, like provisioning and then patching, taking up the backup, etc. Right? So including the threat detection, because again you need to opt for other services which are available in marketplace or directly in Azure to make sure that the environment which we are running is secure. In general, what people think is like, when I go to cloud, I get the high availability, I get the security, etc. But that's not the real case. It is all like available. It is our responsibility to make sure that when we run the infrastructure as a service, it is our responsibility to enable those features so that we make our environment secure. As far as the infrastructure as a service is concerned, it's just a space which Microsoft provides us to run our environment. It's more than that. The responsibility still is with us, so that it is our responsibility to take care of all this. Whereas in platform as a service, you could see only the application and the data responsibility is with customer, and rest of all managed by the cloud provider, right? So that is a major advantage of choosing the platform as a service model, where we no need to worry about our virtualization hardware, scalability, or patching up to the latest version, or taking the backup, or working on the DR or high availability, where the failover mechanisms are available, and then sync mechanisms are available, replication mechanisms are available. There are a lot of features which are inbuilt in the platform as a service model, which helps customers quickly to set it up and then run without any issues. So this is a quick comparison of why someone should choose platform as a service model especially for the database, right? And these are the key benefits of Azure databases. One is independently it can scale in terms of like compute, in terms of storage, to match the performance and the financial need as well. And then high availability and disaster recovery with the 99.99% uptime, availability SLA, and with active geo replication, point-in-time restore, and the geo restore. Like geo replication is replicating the data across the data centers within the country, and point-in-time restore is for the recovery of the backup data, and then geo restore in a different region. Right. So these are all kind of inbuilt features which the by default Azure database has, and then 100x performance improvements with in-memory column store queries, and improved monitoring and troubleshooting, where people will be able to see the performance of the databases in the portal itself, and then accordingly it can be decided whether the platform in which we are running is sufficient enough, or we need to scale up or scale down kind of things. And then it also supports key programmability functions, and drive more robust application design. Sorry. So these are key benefits of Azure SQL databases. And in terms of accessing these databases, there is nothing special that are required. It's all the same way how we access our on-premises database through the SQL Management Studio tool or any other known tools which can connect to the SQL Server. So that is one of the advantage as well. Like there is no additional investment or additional things are needed for accessing these databases. So let's look into one by one what are the models that are available in the database in the Azure. One is the virtual machine model, where where we are running the Azure SQL servers in the virtual machine itself, where we will have these better TCO when it being chosen as a hybrid model, where we can extend our existing licenses, provided it is with the software assurance to the cloud, to save the cost and pay only for the hardware cost, so that we get a better costing, and then free support for the 2008 R2 environment till it gets moved into the latest environment, and then high performance on any operating system. Can be Linux or can be Windows. There are various options available in the virtual machine model itself, OS available, so that we get the performance based on what we choose, and then built-in security and the manageability. Right, so automatic updates and other built-in features are taken care, and then we can very well get them notified, and then we can go and make the environment up to date. Right. So this is on the SQL Server on virtual machines. Here, a quick comparison between Azure and the other competitor products, where you have the performance is 3.6 times x faster with the cost effective thing, and then price wise also it is 84% less when it taken as a reserved model, where you reserve the hardware for 1 year or 3 years, and also bring your own licenses on Windows or on the SQL as well. So in this way, it is like optimized way of running, and also gets the better performance in the cloud space, right? So this is on running SQL Server with Red Hat Enterprise compared to the competitors' price. So it's 3.0x times faster, and the pricing wise also it is comparatively lesser from the competitors' pricing when it go for a 3 years pricing with the Azure reserved instance model. So in this way, like existing on-premises can be migrated to Azure cloud, so that we get the performance, and also with a less cost. So definitely also the hardwares will be latest in cloud, so that we can see how we can optimize our environment, because most of the time when people migrate to cloud, they just go with Apple to Apple, but it's not always the case where people needed such a high-end configurations, because in the on-premises the high-end configuration were chosen to make sure that it adapts to the future requests as well in terms of like scalability. But in cloud, we can start with the lower also and see how it is performing. And you have different options, different processor options available, and then you can choose the right one, and then we can also see how monitor it, and based on which we can decide whether to upgrade or to continue with the existing one. Since the chipsets are latest, and then every cloud provider changes their hardware on a frequent basis, we get the complete better performance like in the cloud environment. So that helps us to get the better performance out of these servers. And this is more on SQL VMs on high-end storage. This is related to the storage, the type of storage that we procure for these databases. So it will be 1.5x time faster, and it will also be 32% lesser than what is there in the AWS environment. So considering all this, bringing a MS SQL or Windows, where the Microsoft products into the cloud, will definitely gives us a benefit in terms of both the performance as well as in terms of the cost. This is the slide which talks about the hybrid benefit, which is like we bring our own licenses into the cloud, which is exclusively available for Microsoft. And right now also these licenses are made available in a subscription model. So those who are in very old versions doesn't have the software assurance in place, where they wanted to migrate to cloud, instead of again purchasing the perpetual model or investing high on the cloud, rather we can choose the subscription model for both Windows as well as the SQL, so that we can use the hybrid benefit to reduce our cost. So in this way, the reserved instance and then CSP for the SQL and the Windows operating system helps to save a lot of money in running the cloud infrastructure, especially for the SQL database. Now let's move on to the platform as a service model. How Microsoft provides these MS SQL Server in a platform model with the different options. So before we get into the different models, we can see how this platform as a service model helps us. One is so far if you see hardware purchasing and management is for something that we would have worked, where here it is built-in scale on demand, and then protect data with backups. It is built-in point-in-time restore. In high availability implementation, which is built in 99.99% SLA and auto failover. Disaster recovery implementation, built-in geo redundancy and geo replication. Ensure compliance with standard on your own, built-in easy features. Secure your data, again, and then rollout updates and upgrades. It's automatic in the platform as a service model. And then monitor, troubleshoot, and manage, which is again it can happen in a click of a button. And maintain the predictable performance, which is pretty much covered in the platform as a service model, where Microsoft gives you a lot of insights on the query performances and top queries that are running, and what needs to be done on the database to get a better performance. You can continuously start giving the recommendations based on the usage. It's a AI-based inbuilt tool which Microsoft provides us, so that we can continuously improve our code environment as well. So elastic scale and performance, predictable performance level, programmatical scale out, dashboard views on database metrics, which all we can see it out in the cloud space, in the portal itself, and then business continuity and data protection, where we can have the seamless hybrid deployments, where we can have both on-premise and the cloud environment, and then disaster recovery and all the compliance are taken care, and setting up the always-on availability, and then ATP, which is advanced threat protection, right, for the better security. And then familiar and fully managed, as I earlier mentioned, there's nothing like new tool or something is required to access. It's already existing tools can be used, and then comes with flexible languages. And the third one, which is very important, is near zero administration. You could see a lot of time people spend the time in administering these infrastructure and the databases, and then which may lead to also the downtime, and then affecting the business continuity, etc., which is not something needed in the cloud space. So it's merely a near zero administration. This is the overall underlying architecture of this platform as a service model for all these databases which we have. So we have a independent storage which can scale independently, and then we have a independent compute where we can decide what core which we need, and accordingly the memory also being allocated. And then we have an option of geo replication, replicating the data to a different region, right? And on these top of all these, Microsoft has its own intelligence which is applied, which gives you the advisory for fine tuning, and then monitoring your environment, etc., right? And then flexibility in terms of scaling up independently. Like if you want to scale storage, you can scale it. If you want to scale compute, you can scale the compute. And then the trusted backup, restore, and the DR mechanism. And then again, the isolation model, all these are available, so that we don't need to worry too much about backing up the databases, or restoring it back from the tape, or keeping that in a different place. All that is well taken care by the Microsoft Azure platform. So this is applicable to all databases available. And you can also see in the left side the list of services which can easily be connected to these databases as well. That means like the integration of these with the databases is pretty much simple. And also Azure provides SQL data warehousing for ETL processing and more scalable model, and also provides the hyperscale models in different platforms, so that it can be well used for high volume data transaction processes. So when it comes to the database, where we migrate to the cloud. So it's not just that we only do the platform migration. We also have to move our data to the cloud space. So Microsoft provides the tools to migrate the database from on-premises to cloud. So where it provides, first it gives you the assessment tool, where it gives you what all needs to be done before the migration. And then it provides a migration services tool, which helps us to migrate from the on-premises to the cloud near zero downtime, seamless end-to-end solution, right? Migrated scale from multiple sources. So these are the major features, great features which are available with the platform, so that this is going to be the one-time migration from our environment, from different environments as well, and then move it onto the cloud and then modernize it. So these are the different models which are available, in the platform as a service in Azure SQL, MS SQL. So the first one is the single database model, which is like predominantly meant for cloud-born apps, where people need only a kind of single database to run a software or a product which can be sold to the customer, right? So it is for the cloud-born application. So single database itself comes with DTU and the vCore model. DTU was a little older model, and vCore is something that recently have come, and then it gives you much better flexibility in terms of running single database. And the second option would be the elastic pool, where based for the multi-tenant SaaS applications, where you can pull in multiple single databases into a pool, where internally the load balance is taken care by Microsoft, right? So that is a major advantage. Instead of we keep single database for each customer with individual scale, rather we can take an elastic pool and bring the databases together, and we can use the hardware, high-level hardware, like how we generally do it with a VM model, and then which can utilize whenever there is a specific database needs more hardware. Right, so that is another model, which is a kind of a logical space, and single databases can be pulled into elastic pool and can be using the same hardware, underlying hardware. And on the Azure SQL managed instance, which is similar to how we run a couple of virtual machines with the high availability or mirroring set. So here there is no need to keep multiple machines. Only one instance comes by default with the high availability, right? And you can really call this as a platform, as a real platform as a service, because in other cloud platforms, they will only give you that high availability, 99.99%, only if it is taken in the multi-region. So when it compares to the cost, here we are doing it with single region, but we get that high availability. That is one major advantage in the Azure platform, especially for the MS SQL, right? And here the auto failover, and then geo replication, and then read replicas, all these are available. And in Azure managed instance is similar to how we run our environment, where it supports all these cross database query, etc. See, there are some limitations definitely when it moves to the Azure platform as a service. I couldn't say it's a limitation. There's some alternative arrangements that we need to make so that we achieve what we do it with the virtual machine model, right? So then it comes to the instance pool. It's multi-instance environment, It's for modernization of smaller multi-instance environment. So these are the different models in which MS SQL is available. Apart from this, you could see serverless database that is also has started in the recent times. And all these models comes with 3 tiers like general purpose, business critical, and hyperscale tiers. Right. So based on what we choose, the RAM core and the pricing and the hardware that is chosen is will vary, and we also get the performance accordingly. Right. So let's see few things on serverless databases also where it exactly can be used by the organizations. Right. So this is the single database model, which comes with initially started off with the DTU model, where the independent scalability was not there during the time when it was introduced as a single DB, where the DTU is a combination of core and the RAM, and you can choose a combination and you get that storage attached to it. And whereas in the vCore model, it's more of like we can independently scale the storage as well as the compute, right? Which gives a much better flexibility and the control, compared to the DTU model. But still there are people who are running the DTU model, and they will also be slowly migrating to the vCore model for achieving the flexibility. So this is a quick ROI where 406% 5-year ROI when you compare when you calculate it, and 5-year total average business benefit as per the SQL database, and 8.6 months payback period. Right. So this is a quick ROI for running Azure database as a service in the cloud space. And you can also see the unplanned downtime will be drastically reduced because the high availability is managed by the cloud platform. You can see 71% reduction in unplanned downtime, where suddenly the server goes down, or while you have to, when you do the patch update, there may be a situation where something goes wrong and it affects the business. Those are all the things which are reduced, and then 91% reduction in fixing up the issues, right, to bring it back, and 98% reduction in productive time, because of these downtime and the other reasons the business gets affected, and people will not be in a very productive way, so that everyone will lose their time, and overall it's affects the organization's productivity as well. So these are the built-in features which is available in the platform as a service. Intelligent performance, realize automatic performance improvements. It gives you the continuous feedback and then helps you to fix it, and scales on the fly. You can change the tiers, you can increase the storage, you can increase the core on need basis. It can also be dynamically done through programmatically without the downtime, and then manage the business continuity, and works in your environment. You don't need to go for any specific tools or something, where if you have a private tunnel VPN established, you can also access it like a local machine in your environment. And advanced threat protection, which is a enterprise class security which is built in, right, and protects the database environment. So this is a quick info on managed instance. So Azure SQL managed instance, which is again, as I said, similar to how we manage our high availability environment, like a virtual machine model, right? Which has some additional features which is not there with the single DB, which helps again the organization to quickly migrate from a virtual machine model to the platform as a service model, right? So it supports multi-database, cross-database queries and other things, but it also has some features like SSIS, SSRS kind of things is not directly supported. We may need to go for a different services in the Azure cloud, and then match that with those services. So otherwise, it is typically the kind of virtual machine model. It runs in its own subnet, and only it can be accessible from the application servers, so that it's fully secure. It cannot be accessed from the public network, and by having a private tunnel, it can be accessed. So it is a typical way how the three-tier architecture is implemented, where only the front-end application is exposed to the cloud, to the public, and the databases will be accessed like a local machine. So that is how these managed instances also architected, so that the request comes from the application servers only will be served by the SQL server, so that it's secure in nature. This is a quick TCO, right? So on year, so reduce capital and operational cost, financially backed 99.9% high availability, and promotes business continuity and maximize your on-premises investment by bringing it the Azure hybrid benefit, and right size on-premises workload requirements for the cloud. See, you have independent control over the storage and the compute. These are the breakthrough productivity and performance: 30x faster transaction in memory OLTP, 100x performance gains with in-memory analytics, 100% uptime with dynamic scalability, 100 TB plus auto scaling with 100 TB with hyperscale. Right, so these are like provided the hyperscale model is chosen. So for the people who are running very high volume database in nature, right? This is one of the quick architecture of the network diagram, how this isolation happens and how this environment is accessed. So it has its own network, and you can have these VNet to VNet peering, and then the gateway can also access this isolated environment, and you can have these multiple SQL instances, virtual data cluster, right? So private clusters like private IPs. So with this, the application is similar to how we run it in our on-premises environment. So this is a slide that talks about the security, and which has the physical security, and then the network security, and then inside that the cluster security, and then the access management, and the threat protection, and the information protection. And inside that is the customer data, right? So these are all the enterprise grade security that is built in these the Azure database platform service, so that our data is placed in a very safe way. So this is a just quick vulnerabilities overview in the last 7 years, right, where you can see the vulnerability of each of the servers, right, when it is running in the insecure environment. So these are the things can be really avoided in the cloud space. This is a quick overview of how these managed instance failover group takes care. So you can have this primary and the secondary region, and you can have these failover group setup, so that even if there is a issue with one of the region, maybe can be a particular service is down or something, the other region picks up, and the business continues as usual. There is no need for any manual intervention in terms of like setting up or changing the DNS or the code or something. So these are all like inbuilt features which can be enabled and which can be selected right way, so that we get the complete high availability across the regions as well. Now we are going to see a little more about the serverless databases. So if you could actually see a lot of organizations where they would have purchased the SQL Server for the core-based model, like SQL servers are procured in the perpetual license model for the based on the number of cores, the machine in which we are going to run the database. If you look at most of the time, our CPU will not go beyond 50%. Because it should be the way that the server machines are to be managed, especially the database servers. right? Maybe it can sometimes touch a 60-65%, but not always, right? So when it comes to that way, people look at like, I am using, let's say, for example, 16 core VM, but I'm paying for the 16 core cost for the SQL, but actual my utilization is only 8 core because my CPU only utilizes 50%. So is there any way that I can, reduce my cost? Right? Because I'm not using 16, I'm using only 8, and on need basis, I may increase. So for those kind of requirements, the serverless database is what gives the answer. So, so this is for the people who can go for serverless or why serverless. Compute requirements for new apps may be unknown, and developers struggle to provide sufficient capacity and resources to support apps, and managing unpredictable and intermittent workloads is costly and time consuming, and business struggle to ensure that database provisioning consistently aligns with workload requirements. So any of these things, if customer is undergoing, then can go for the serverless model. So this is how the serverless model is built. So there will be a minimum and the maximum core that we can choose, so that you will be always build for the minimum core that is chosen, and whenever and you can set a cap for maximum core so that the CPU will not go beyond that. But whenever it moves more than your minimum core, then only for that time the additional billing happens. Otherwise, you will be only billed for the core that is chosen, right? So this is how the serverless architecture, serverless model works in the cloud space, right? And again, on-demand, flexible scale, and cost-effective solution, fully managed and intelligent, similar to how we see the other, environments, right? And best for unpredictable and intermittent workloads on single databases such as dev test or line of business or e-commerce, where the scalability is on demand, and it also has some time to scale up and scale down, cool period, and then there is a period for stopping the server and not using it. So these are all some of the features which are available in the serverless database. So we can have something like this, you have your one core is a minimum, and you will be build for one core, and max is your 4 core, and you could see whenever there is a spike happens, the additional billing will happen for that particular specific minute. And then you can also see the pass time, where you can pass between particular times, so that it will not be billed for those time, right? So this is how the serverless architecture model works. So we have to see whether our requirement can matches this serverless architecture model, so that we can very well choose this model for cost effective solution. Only thing is, it might take some time for bringing up the server after the pass mode or scale up, and there will be always some cooling period also for it to come down. So we have to really see how our databases can be moved into this model. Depends on the application nature and what we wanted to achieve. So which gives a cost-effective solution in the platform as a service model, which is a new model. So with this, we end up with the databases as a service models, and similar to what we have seen, we were predominantly concentrating on the MS SQL part. Similar to that only, we have the SQL and MS Postgre and MySQL also there. So which is similar to running our on-premises environment, but one advantage here is it by default comes with the high availability, which is not the case when we run it in a single machine VM model. Since the Postgre or the MySQL not directly supports this multi-master or the replication or mirroring model, where it takes a lot of other servers also to be added. Sorry, Shankar, any disturbance?
No, go ahead.
So with that, we complete with the database side, and this is a quick slide on similar to how these databases can be platformized. The applications can also be platformized, and it supports almost well-known applications where it's like a containerization model where whenever there is a skill needed, it creates multiple instances on need basis, and then it will take care of the load. So we can also achieve the high availability and the dynamic scalability, which is like a horizontal scalability, and it also supports the vertical scalability. So, and it is can be used with DevOps, can be built in for the continuous integration and deployment. CI/CD can be achieved, right? And then it also helps us to reduce the cost, because whenever there is a spike, then only the additional instances are built. Otherwise, it will not be built, right? It also comes with the enterprise grade security and supports hybrid benefits. It also has a lot of other integrations like Azure Active Directory, like a kind of identity management integration, right? So these are a quick this is a quick slide which talks about the platformizing the application environment as well. So this is a quick slide where it talks about how the your code can be brought in, and then how it can be integrated with the DevOps. Right, so develop, build, deploy, and monitor. Right, so it supports almost every language, and it supports all the IDE tools, and it comes with the pre-built images, and you have these source code repositories in the Azure DevOps, right, and then deployment tools, and then your proactive and intelligent analytics. See, here also you get the same kind of recommendations, same kind of built-in features which helps us to fine-tune our environment and then make it up and running 99 with the 99.99% availability. This is a typical architecture how a platformized environment is accessed or run in the cloud. So you could see your SQL database run as a service, and then Redis cache, which is a in-memory database for maintaining sessions and other kind of things, and your blob storages for independent storage, keeping the files, etc. Right, and typically the traffic manager, which is a global load balancer, can access these application service, which is again in between there is a CDN which can also be integrated, which is a content delivery network for delivering the on-demand videos and images in a faster way, which supports CDNs like Akamai and Verizon, Microsoft CDN, etc. And then your SendGrid mail, which is like a third-party mail service which can be used. As you know, the app services will not have any servers. It's just a platform where we can deploy our code, and we can use those kind of services, the third-party services, and it supports other identity providers, right? And then application insights, which gives you more insights on the logs of applications. And then from the developer angle, they will be accessing it through the Visual Studio and the DevOps CI/CD, right? And these storages can also be integrated with the Power BI or Azure functions for running jobs, or logic apps to perform something, and then Power BI for reporting purpose. So this single databases will give you the flexibility of having RAID replicas in the same region or across the regions, so that the production database is not used for reporting purposes. So it can be used as a separate database, it's a read database, so that it just replicates the data from the master and then get ready for the reports. With this, the part of like the database and the how the app can be modernized in the Azure cloud environment. So with this, I will close this and will explain you some of the case studies that we have done in our experience on how these single databases are, or the managed instances are used. I'm sorry. So one of the leading magazine, e-magazine as well as the print media is our customer, and we have migrated them completely from on-premises to the cloud. With the first one as infrastructure model, and then slowly migrated them into the platform as a service model. So where they use both MS SQL for their print media and MySQL for their e-paper media, right? And this for this customer, starting from the designing of the print media as well as the e-paper, and designing of the web portal, all are done through the platform as a service model, right? And we also integrated their other tools where they make the design, and people who actually provide the data from different places, regions or villages, or can be from other states as well. And then they all different platforms to put the news together, including the advertisements, agencies where they place their advertisements, ads into the system. So that ad platform is what actually uses the MS SQL, and the e-paper, web version of their magazine or paper is daily paper is used as a using the MySQL database as a service. So here we initially migrated their entire environment into the VM model, and then from there we slowly migrated to the app service model, because you could see these news portals typically don't know exactly how the predictable use or something, suddenly the number of users goes up based on the news or based on the time, like during the election time, something like that. So this entire platform as a service environment is built in so that it takes care of those scalability, but in terms of both horizontal as well as the vertical scalability. So that is one of the case study that we have implemented completely the platform as a service model. And also for one of the customer where they capture the data from IoT devices or other devices where it continuously hits and provide the data back to the system. That's where we implemented the managed instance, since it gives you that 99.99% availability. It captures completely all the data from the different devices and gets implemented, right? So we have done for most of our customers initially lift and shift model, and then migrated them into the platform as a service model. So with that, I think the session is over. So over to you, Shankar. Any case question sessions or anything else would be welcome.
So thank you so much, Nagarajan sir and Shankar sir. And right now, we do have some questions. We have a good number of questions from our audience. And I'm sure as Nagarajan sir was giving you a lot of insights and the case study that he presented, we all may have a lot of questions coming up. So it's a request to kindly go ahead and share your questions, whatever doubts you may have, in the Q&A section of our screen, so that we'll be able to compile them and put it forward to the experts. So I just give you all a minute so that we can just go ahead and take all the questions. And Nagarajan sir, thank you so much. You have actually so well articulated, how the new system will, help us adapt to the new normal. and the agility that it provides and the performance and scale. So I think so. All in all, Shankar sir, if I can, if I can put it through, it's like a genie in a bottle. You just have to open a genie and it is at your service doing all your work. So I think so it's a great insight that you've given us. Thank you so much. I will take the first question. Can I put the first question, sir?
Sure.
So before we go to the Q&A, I would just like to explain what we offer on the database services, so that the participants will have a fair idea of how we can help them. Okay, just give me 2 minutes. I'll just explain the slide. After that, we can jump to questions.
Sure, sir. Sure, sir.
All right. So thank you all participants, and thank you Nagarajan. So as Nagarajan mentioned, Zensia, we as a company, we help customers in the following areas. The first one is the assessment. Okay. So typically when integrating your databases to Azure, it is very important that we just don't do a lift and shift, right? So we have to come up with a clear roadmap of migrating your entire database and take care of all the security, reliability, and performance criteria, right? So we review existing data structure and database engine, and we come up with a clear roadmap for you so that your database is highly secured and scalable. The second service is the actual migration service, where we migrate your on-premise legacy database to Azure cloud and modernize it. So when it comes to migrating to Azure, it is just not you just take it and put it in the Azure, right? The power of Microsoft Azure comes in modernizing your database. So for example, as PV mentioned, you have SQL as a service, MySQL as a service, right? So and it comes with a lot of features like the artificial intelligence and security, the inbuilt AI. So all this will help you to take full leverage of Microsoft Azure. So we migrate and also ensure that it fits in the right database structure. And the third service is the optimization, where after migration, we tweak the data architecture for performance to ensure that it is serving the customer's applications properly. And the fourth and the last service that we offer on the database front is the security, where we implement security defense strategies of the databases. It's very important. This step is very, very important. Why? Because unless and until we make the database secure, it will be very vulnerable for attacks like DDoS attacks and all the ransomware, right? So the security implementation is one of the key process in the entire database modernization. So with that, I think we are done. We can go through the questions, and we'll be very happy to answer the questions.
Thank you so much, Shankar sir. That was really insightful. So, sir, for you, the first question from one of our audience is is it compatible with Oracle? Is the system compatible with Oracle? So you mute.
Sorry. So right now, Oracle is not supported in the platform model. So only option is putting it in a virtual machine, or they have to migrate to different database, equivalent database like Postgre or other database. So Oracle as a service is right now not available with Microsoft Azure.
Okay, so thank you so much. Another question is that does the storage feature have compression of data feature?
Mostly these cloud spaces where it is encryption and these kind of things are inbuilt kind of a feature, right? So definitely, like we can see it whether the compression is supported. Encryption is supported at rest. So compression is something that probably we can check and come back.
Okay, so thank you so much. So there is one more question related to 1 second, please. I'll just check it. Yeah, one more question related to Oracle itself. So the question is, can I deploy Oracle database with own procured license with us on Azure?
Yes, provided the Oracle agreement agrees that, right? Generally, what happens is, like, whenever you procure these licenses, they'll always say there is an attached component called software assurance, right? So if that is there, then they can very well move on to the cloud. And some people, they use it for the disaster recovery model. We have seen in some of our customers have their Oracle on premises, and they use Azure Cloud for DR setup, right? So in that scenario, also the Oracle gives some flexibility, like running DR every month, 2 days or something of that sort. So it depends on what exactly the licenses mentioned by the Oracle. We'll have to see what they procured, and accordingly we can guide them how it can be moved to the cloud.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. So that's great. We are waiting for some more questions. If there are any questions, you are sure to go ahead and post it on our question section on the screen, and we'll be more than happy. Both our panelists will be more than happy to go ahead and answer your questions. And this is something that is really revolutionary, I think. So in the way that it's shaping up the new normal. So we are actually forced into the new normal. This whole transition could be taken into a long process, but since we are forced in the new normal, I think so. It's a real blessing that such a platform is all ready to serve us. Especially businesses, which can really take advantage of it, sir. So we'll just wait if there is any other question. We'll just post it to you, sir. Just give me 1 second.
So with regards to migrating Oracle database to Azure, I would like to just share this. So basically, as PV mentioned, there is no straight away, the migration option is not there. But so basically, so this is the the Azure database migration guide. So whoever is looking for migrating their platform to Microsoft Azure, they can go through this. Okay. So here you can see. So for example, if you are planning to migrate Oracle database, then these are the options you have. Okay. So the first option is you can migrate to Azure database for PostgreSQL, or you can migrate to SQL Server, or you can migrate to Azure SQL database, or you can migrate to SQL managed instance, or you can migrate to SQL Server on Azure VMs, or you can migrate to Azure Synapse Analytics. Okay. So if you click each of these options, then you will also get more details of how you can migrate and what are things that you can do.
Thank you so much, Shankar sir. So Shankar sir and Nagarajan sir, thank you so much. You've clarified so much of our doubts, and you've given us such a clear insight. So I really want to thank you. And once again, with this, to all the audience, we will bring today's virtual conference to a close. Today's session wouldn't have been a success without the active participation of both our speakers. So I know we could have asked a huge round of applause, and I'm sure you would have got a huge round of applause, but we are really, thankful that you have gone ahead and enlightened us so much. So thank you so much. And I would like to thank both of you for taking the time out and being part of the virtual conference today. A special thanks to Microsoft India and Zenshia Technology Solutions Private Limited for the support of this interactive and initiative. Without your initiative, this wouldn't have been possible. So thank you so much for the session. And ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much once again for all of you for joining us. It was a pleasure having you all on this interactive virtual session. And thank you so much, and take care and have a great day and stay safe.
Thank you so much. And I would also like to thank DNB for organizing this in a wonderful manner. And thanks to all the members of DNB for a wonderful job that you guys have done. Thank you so much. And as you mentioned, a big thanks to Microsoft as well.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
See you, everyone.
Thank you.
Stay safe. Bye.